Well, we are now past the strip down stage and starting reassembly. As you can see, I have a rather fine looking side casing. I ran it through the bead blaster, I gave it a clean up, and this is just satin black paint from an aerosol can. I've used this kind of coating before and it comes out pretty nice. So, take the ignition cover off, and the clutch cover, put that safely aside. And we've got a few seals to install. The main clutch seal and the camshaft from this side. So I have made up a seal driver so that the seal will fit this, and then it has a step on the driver so that the seal ends up the correct distance from this surface, which is the 2mm specified in the manual. So I'm just going to give the seal a little dab of oil. And we'll see if we can just push it in by hand first of all. Most of the way in. I'm just bringing up a piece of plastic underneath to support the case. There's still one of the dowels in the case, so I don't want to be hammering on it without that support. I'm just going to tap the seal driver in, and that's in place, evenly down. Now with the bike, well, with one of my previous bikes, I inherited a whole load of tools, and you can see that someone had actually made an oil seal installing tool that's the right size for the camshaft seal. Now it's a little cold out here today, and ideally you'd be doing this in slightly warmer conditions, but we're not having any real difficulty. That seals in, and let me just okay. So that's the two oil seals from this side. Now if I flip the case over, we've got the some reassembly to do. We've got another oil seal to install, which is this one, which is the crankshaft oil feed. So that goes in this hole here. Again, we'll just give it a little coating of oil. And this one's pretty much going in by hand. Okay, I don't seem to have a specific driver for this seal, so I've got a bush from the odds and ends box. I'll just give the end a clean. And use that. There we go. It might not be down on one side. That looks good. Anyway, we've got the seal for the crankshaft feed in, and there's a little top hat spacer. Just pop that down in there, and then there's the retaining plate. It goes across the top. And we'll get the screwdriver a minute and set that down. Now there's a pressure relief valve up here, so down at the bottom of the hole goes the ball bearing, followed by the plunger and the spring, and the plunger has a little dimple in the end for the ball. Okay, and there's a retaining plate. Let's try and get the spring centralized in the holes as you go down. Let's go and get a decent screwdriver. It's difficult for me to get a good camera angle on this. Okay, and you can see, or possibly see, let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, you can see that the spring should be centralized, and then the plate can be tightened up, and we'll do the other plate. I shouldn't have to say, but the cleanliness is essential. This is the main oil feed gallery. So I'll be blowing it all through with air before final assembly. And down here, this is the input from the oil pump, and there's a neoprene sleeve there, often green, that sits there. Now you should check that the pressure relief valve is sealing properly. So either find a plug or and a finger will do. And if you've got an airline with a rubber tip, you can pressurize the gallery. It's blocked off, and check that the relief valve isn't leaking. You want to be not leaking any oil pressure from there. Okay, we're getting pretty close to having the side casing all assembled and ready to go back on the engine. I'm just going to mention a couple of things here. I've got to put a seal in to the clutch basket, which we'll do in a second. Now, this is the sleeve that the primary drive gear runs on, and on the 350 this is a parallel sleeve. The basket is the same on 350 and 500. The hub is the same except for the spline for a bigger shaft. This bush is a larger diameter, and they've used a stepped sleeve, so this is the same size as 350 and this is bigger on the 500. Now, when you assemble a 350, you can put the side cover on the engine and the sleeve will go through the oil seal in this direction. On the 500, this bush has to go on the shaft first, and now it's trying to go through the oil seal the wrong way, and you're in danger of tearing the lip up. So I'm going to be machining up a tapered sleeve that will just guide the seal over the end of this bush, but that's something I'll deal with later. So first of all, going to put the seal into the clutch basket. So, little oil as before. It's quite a narrow seal, so yeah, we've got that cocked. Got to get the gister going square. This is a decent basket from my stock. Just giving it a proper clean up with some degreaser and then clutch and brake cleaner, using a toothbrush to get into all these little corners, and there's almost no wear in it, and any little burrs I've knocked down with a file. If you've got a badly notched basket, you know, if you can get this back clean and straight with a file, then you can do so, and it'll improve your clutch action. But obviously, the narrower you make these drive dogs, the more your clutch is gonna rattle, and the more it rattles, the faster it's gonna wear in future. So, you know, it saves you some money in the short term and probably won't cost you any extra in the long term, but it's just something to bear in mind. Okay, that's now down flush. It doesn't actually need to be any deeper than that. So we'll just move these bits out of the way slightly, and we'll bring the case up. And this is there's a steel sleeve, and this is what runs inside the oil seal. I'm just making sure this is nice and clean. A little bit of oil. And we'll ease that down into there. Get the drive gear lining up the dowel pins like that. Just give it a little tap down. And then come back with the give it a tap down. Now these cap head screws, a lot of people miss out. There's a little washer and it often gets stuck in the clutch basket. There's a very thin steel washer just to stop them chewing up the alloy, and they're very easy to get overlooked. And just start pulling those down by hand. And we'll go round in an even tightening pattern. Actually, I'll probably work these in pairs to start with. It's going on pretty easy. Okay. Scratching me neat paint job with this right. Okay, that one just bottomed, and that one, and the last one. And I'll actually do the final tightening when it's assembled onto the engine. Give me something to lever against. So that's the clutch side case assembly all ready to go. And one of the dowels that locates the hub and the drum has just come through a little, and this is what I was worried about. If I'd have just pulled the basket from the other side and put a new basket on, was the dowels going through and in, so I'm going to tap that back down flush with the drive here. So that's the case assembly ready to go.